What is up, guys? Rick Shadowkeep here. Thank you so much for stopping by, and today we've got some new early Shadowkeep gameplay featuring an all-new exotic hand cannon and taking place in the totally remade Nightfalls coming with the next Destiny 2 expansion. Now, all of this is coming from an event, so thank you to Bungie for providing for my flights and accommodations so I could attend and bring you guys this early look at the next Destiny expansion. So, we're covering some big, thick info in this video, but first, thanks to my partnership with ASTRO, I'm giving away A40s plus the mix amp. Don't worry, this is not one of those silver giveaways that gets you to like and subscribe, but there's never any winners. You can like and subscribe if you want, that'd be nice, but all you gotta do to enter is follow me on Twitter at RickKackis and tweet at me something with the hashtag ShadowCack. That's it. We're gonna be giving it out in the next couple of days. Now, let's get on to that info. First things first, let's talk about this brand new exotic hand cannon that you're going to be seeing a ton of in the background gameplay. It's called the Eriana's Vow, and you get access to it, well, if you're a premium member of the Season Pass, so essentially if you bought Shadowkeep, pretty much immediately. Like literally when you get Shadowkeep, when you load in that first day, you're going to be able to go to your seasonal rewards, claim the very first items without ever having to level it up, not even one time, and then you will just get this hand cannon. If you are not a paying member, don't worry, you can still get this hand cannon. You will just need to rank up your season to 35 in terms of a seasonal rank. So let's take a look at its exotic perks. First off, we have the exotic intrinsic perk Looks Can Kill. This weapon fires special shield-piercing ammunition, and it comes with a scope. We'll talk about what shield-piercing actually does in a sec. Then we've got Extended Barrel, just look at that range, and Accurized Rounds, same thing. But then we have another unique perk, Death at First Glance. Bonus damage when aiming down sights on the opening shot of an attack. This bonus is preserved if the shot deals precision damage or strikes an elemental shield. And lastly, we're going to end here with Polymer Grip. Now, of course, there's got to be a downside for literally maxed out impact and maxed out range, and that downside is that this hand cannon actually uses special ammo. So instead of putting on a sniper, you put on the Vow, and it behaves pretty similarly. And that is really the comparison I would lean towards when describing this gun. It's a pocket sniper rifle. It's not exactly capable of doing as much precision damage, especially when compared to the higher damaging archetypes for snipers, but dang, it does do a lot. And it's much easier to acquire targets in medium or even close range with its pretty darn low zoom scope, and you're not scoping all the way in. It is kind of like a normal weapon scope that you would find in a lot of other primary weapons out there. However, one other downside is that it kicks like a mule. It's actually capable of outputting a decent amount of damage and firing very quickly, but if you try to do that, you will find it pretty difficult to reacquire your targets. Like, your gun is aiming directly up in the air when you are firing that second shot, which is kind of weird because they just introduced an update to prevent that and have brand new firing animations for the 150 and 140s. This does not follow that. This just kicks and fills up your entire screen with hand cannon. And in case you were wondering, in PvP, this is a 2-shot kill. That's all I can say for now. But let's talk about this Nightfall, because yes, Nightfalls have been completely overhauled with Shadowkeep, and this will bring into the question of what exactly is shield-piercing rounds and why do you need it? Well, that's to do with the modifiers. As you can see when loading into the Legend difficulty 950 Power Level Nightfall, the Ordeal, and by the way, it goes even higher than this to Master, I believe, you can see just how many modifiers are present, and there's no Five of Swords really anymore. These are preset modifiers. You can't mess around with the power level disparity and all of that stuff. So firstly, we have arc damage increased, knockback damage, and distance increased. We have good old match game returning. Enemy shields are highly resistant to all unmatched elemental damage. We have equipment locked, so you can't change your loadout in the Nightfall. Then, importantly, we have Champions Barrier. This mode contains barrier champions which cannot be stopped without a barrier mod. And then we have Champions Unstoppable. This mode contains unstoppable champions which cannot be stopped without an unstoppable mod. And lastly, we have a brand new one, Martyr. Exploder units have more health. So it's those unstoppable and those barrier champions that you've got to pay attention to. And here's what they look like in game. We have a barrier knight right here, and it's denoted by this triangle symbol. Now notice if you actually look, I have the vow out right now. At the symbol beside it, we have the same triangle symbol. This is telling you that this symbol matches the symbol on the enemy. So this shield piercing rounds can pierce the barriers of these enemies within these activities. And you can see exactly that happen. The knight gets damaged, it then bubbles up with this red barrier, and if you don't have barrier piercing rounds, it takes forever to take this thing down. It's basically like shooting an enemy with the wrong element in match game. But because of my vow, I'm able to take this knight's barrier down very easily and dispatch him right after that. Now that's cool and all, but what if you're not using the vow? Can you apply these barrier piercing rounds to other weapons? And yes, you can via the seasonal artifact. As you can see right here, there's a certain section of seasonal artifacts that has to do with applying these different rounds. Either you have rounds that pierce through barriers, but you can only apply them to certain specific gun types that are being kind of showed off and Bungie wants to become the meta for a certain season. So right now, hand cannons have the piercing rounds. Next season, it might be something totally different. Scout rifles, for example. So you level up your seasonal artifact, you get this mod, you apply it to whatever gun type it fits for, and then you go into the Nightfall and you're able to take down these enemies. You can still beat a Nightfall without these mods, it's just going to be significantly harder. And most notably, that's for the unstoppable enemies. Unlike the barrier enemies, unstoppable enemies, which you can see right here with this ogre, they're going to charge at you and they are quite literally unstoppable. But if you have the unstoppable rounds mod for hand cannons, you aim down sights for a little bit, your gun will glow, you shoot the ogre, and then you'll stun him. And then you're able to take him down way easier. Seriously, the difference in difficulty between us figuring out how this kind of stuff worked and utilizing knockback rounds on these ogres and then not knowing that was night and day. Like, it was so much easier once we were really applying these mods and doing things correctly. However, you may have also noticed that, wait a sec, there's only primary gun types available here. Like, you have auto rifles, hand cannons, etc. So, do I have to run double primaries? Well, potentially. Or you need to utilize teamwork, because being able to have a couple of people with the barrier piercing rounds, which there's way more barrier enemies, so that makes sense, and then one person dedicated to the knockback rounds, that's what we utilized, and that was pretty darn effective. However, after giving that explanation about how these things work, you can kind of also see why the vow is super good in Nightfalls. It's a special weapon that gains access to the barrier piercing rounds. Normally you have to use a primary hand cannon, so this is basically you're kind of cheating and using a sniper rifle. And it gets this mod automatically. Like, there's no mod that I'm using on this gun. It just gets it as an intrinsic ability. So that means you can head into these Nightfalls and have a weapon that can take down these champions way earlier than you potentially otherwise would, because you don't have to level up your seasonal artifact. So, let's talk a little bit about this Nightfall in general. As you can obviously see, it's a brand new strike that we're playing here in the Scarlet Keep, and it's a pretty interesting new strike. Like, there's actually quite a few mechanics that you're going to see probably in the background gameplay, going off to the side, you know, getting certain things, depositing them somewhere else to keep advancing you. You have to do that like several times. The addition of these special enemies and having to switch weapons and saying, oh wait, we have an unstoppable enemy, like, who has the unstoppable rounds? Okay, you shoot him, and if that guy's dead, you got a big problem. That's a whole nother layer of depth that I was not used to when doing a Nightfall, so that's pretty sweet. And also, I want to point out that we are not under-leveled. We are 951 actually light going in here, and the highest difficulty we did was 950. So we're of level, and you're probably noticing, especially during like the first playthrough, I have the brand new Lullaby hand cannon, which is a 110, and I can't one-shot kill the Acolytes. So a 110 hand cannon with Rampage can't one-shot kill Acolytes that are below my level. That's insane. And that means you're gonna have to take every single enemy much more seriously in Shadowkeep in general, but also during these Nightfalls. So the question is, why put yourself through this misery of this hard activity? Well, as you can see, the rewards are pretty succulent. First of all, we've got the prisms, which are used to upgrade your armor 2.0, which you're gonna need if you're putting forth all of these brand new mods from your seasonal artifact. But also, you notice exotics are a reward. In fact, it even says common. So it seems like these Nightfalls are actually gonna be like a farmable source of exotics with Shadowkeep, and that is pretty significant. Now, although the higher difficulties of this do require you to get a pre-made fire team, the lower difficulties of the Ordeal activities are able to be match made. So like the lower difficulty Nightfalls, if you're just kind of farming materials, and some of the materials are available there as well, you can do it match made. And that's another big improvement, whereas like Nightfalls right now, zero matchmaking no matter how easy you make it. Anyways, last thing I want to do is a bit of a loot check, because I got some sick drops actually. So during my Nightfall playthroughs, I was able to get the brand new Cerberus +1 catalyst. Wasn't able to see exactly what these did, couldn't go into that section of the game, but I was also at the very end of the harder playthrough able to get the Ace of Spades catalyst. So both of those exotics are getting catalysts with Shadowkeep, and that's some pretty cool news. And so guys, that is it for the video. I hope you enjoyed this look at this new exotic and talking about how Nightfalls have changed. If you guys did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you guys want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickKackis. That's linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.